Hello everybody, thank you so much for tuning in this morning. My name is Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan. I am coming to you live from Wellesley Middle High School in Wellesley, Massachusetts, here to bring you some high school girls soccer action between the hosting Wellesley Raiders and the visiting Brookline High Warriors. These two teams played each other earlier this week, finishing in a scoreless 0-0 tie on Thursday, and are playing now as a rescheduling of what was supposed to be a game on Tuesday, but was rescheduled due to heavy rains. So now we've got this morning matinee, as it were, between the two teams that fought to a tie last time, and will now be hoping to get on the scoreboard and get in the win column. Brookline comes into this game with a record of 1-1-1. They opened the season with a 1-0 loss to Needham, then bounced back with a 1-0 win over Needham, and then, of course, had the scoreless tie with Wellesley. So we'll see how things shake out this time as the teams get ready to take the field. And welcome back. I am here live at Wellesley Middle High School in Wellesley, Massachusetts, as we're about ready to get this game underway between the hosting Wellesley Raiders and the visiting Brookline High Warriors. Of course, these two girls soccer teams fought to a scoreless tie on Thursday. We'll see if either team can get on the board as we play here at the Wellesley High School football field.
Go Raiders!
It'll be Wellesley starting with the ball, and they'll be playing from my left while Brookline plays from my right. Starting off near the center, we see Rory Clare of Wellesley, along with one other player whose jersey number I can't quite make out. I think it's McKay Pratt, though. A couple of young players who were instrumental in Wellesley's attack on Thursday, but weren't able to put anything away. Once again, the Wellesley Raiders wearing black today and starting the first quarter playing from my left, while the Brookline Warriors playing in white and starting from my right. Both teams look ready to go. We're just waiting for the first whistle from the official. And there's the whistle, and Pratt passes it back, and we're underway. That pass goes back to Catherine Smith, and then her attempted pass is intercepted by Brookline's Maddie Moore. Maddie Moore bringing it out along the near sideline, tries a centering pass, but it's kicked away by Gabriela Torres. Now there's a scramble for the ball as it gets deflected by a few players. Collected by Claire, and now she's being chased by defenders, and she draws a foul. So Wellesley will get a free kick. And it looks like it'll be Torres taking the kick. Or, no, that's Lily de Oliveira, number 16, not number 19. De Oliveira kicks it to Smith, who then kicks it back out to number 17, Gaia Jacobs, who then boots it across midfield. It's booted into the air by Brookline's Mia Pujols-Briseno. There's a battle for the ball, and it's kicked all the way back, and then Caroline Wolf collects it and taps it back to the goalie, Juliana Anastopoulos, who kicks it ahead to Hope Leshley. Lashley sends a pass along the far side. It's now being taken up the far side. Passed ahead for, I believe that's Samantha Friedman. Friedman dribbling around, looking for an opening. Attempted centering pass. It winds up at the feet of Daniela Levy. She kicks, and it's deflected into the air by De Oliveira. Recollected by Brookline, and then passed over to Maddie Moore. Maddie Moore does not have the edge. She's being defended by Jacobs, and now Smith coming over to help. They kick the ball away. And now a scramble for the ball between Rory Clare and Brookline's Sari Frankel as the ball ultimately gets away. Goes to Lindsay Mahoney. My mistake, that wasn't Frankel, that was Sarah Gonzalez. Ball goes back to Anastopoulos. She kicks it back into play. A couple passes, and it winds up at the foot of Hope Leshley, who boots it across half midfield. Collected once again by Wellesley, and then a battle for the ball as it goes across midfield. Snagged by Brookline once again. Passed ahead, and it winds up out of bounds. So it'll be Brookline ball. just past midfield on the Wellesley end. The inbounds kick, and it was a bit premature. Team's still trying to figure out the timing of these inbounds kicks. This time it goes correctly, and it's booted all the way across the field over to Gonzalez. Gonzalez controlling it along the near side. Looks for an opening, passes it over to Levy. Levy sends it out to the near side over to Moore. Moore trying to gain the edge on Jacobs, and the ball goes out of bounds. And they're going to say it went off of Moore, and they're going to say it's a goal kick. Moore thought she was setting up for a corner kick, but well defended by number 17, Gaia Jacobs. So now a goal kick for the Wellesley goalie, Ella Carl, and again, too fast, and ref blows the whistle. Now Carl tries to kick again this time. Pass from Gabriela Torres over to the far side, and then passed ahead looking for Lily Burnham, but deflected away by Melanie Chernin, collected by Brookline, and then an attempted centering pass is knocked out of bounds. The attempted pass by Samantha Friedman. And now we've got another inbounds kick, and again it's premature. And there's the whistle, and now there's the kick in. It goes to Sari Frankel. It almost gets taken away, but goes to Friedman. Friedman tries to pass out of it, but it's taken away by McKay Pratt. Pratt dribbles across midfield, trying to get around some defenders, but it's taken away, and that's Friedman bringing it back across the other end of midfield. She kicks it well ahead of everybody, and it bounces into the hands of Carl. Ella Carl now surveying the field, looking for the best outlet for the first pass of this attempted clear by Wellesley. She decides to boot it into the air. It's being chased down, ultimately winds up at the feet of Catherine Smith, who passes it back to Jacobs. Jacobs trying to dribble around more. She gets around her and draws the foul. So the free kick will be taken by Lily de Oliveira. Oliveira kicks it across midfield, finds Tess Miller, who taps it over to Catherine Smith. Smith now dribbling with some space, trying to send a through pass, but it's kicked away by Lindsay Mahoney and goes across midfield. Collected once again, this is Gabriela Torres trying to dribble through a Brookline player, unsuccessful, and now that's Sari Frankel weaving her way through as she tries to retreat, but then an errant pass goes to McKay Pratt. Passed around, and now they're looking for Rory Clare. It's a chase, and it's a chase that was ultimately won by Mia Pujols-Braceno. And I think they called a foul on Claire for getting too physical in the pursuit of the ball. So it'll be a free kick for the goalie, Anastopoulos. The kick will first be tapped to Anastopoulos from Caroline Wolf, and then it's booted towards midfield. Tapped by Maddie Moore, it goes to Levy. Daniela Levy tries to kick a pass all the way across the field, finds her target. That's Friedman. Friedman dribbling through traffic, has it taken away. And now Wellesley working on the clear. Lily Burnham passes it out to the far side to nobody. Bit of miscommunication there, and it goes out of bounds. So Brookline gets the ball on the Wellesley end once again. It's tapped inbounds to Friedman. Friedman gets around one defender, sends a centering pass. It gets away from the target, though, and now it's being dribbled through, but it's tapped away, and it's controlled by Brookline once again. That's Hope Leshley. Leshley sends a pass over to the near side, over to Moore. Moore, centering kick, and it flies over everyone's heads, but collected again by Brookline. Attempted pass over to Frankel is deflected, but then goes right back to Friedman. Friedman with a centering kick. Oh, it gets away from them. This is a goal for Brookline! Daniela Levy gets Brookline on the board first after some confusion there in the box by the Wellesley defense. The centering kick by Samantha Friedman bounced off the leg of a defender, but the goalie, Ella Carl, was diving to deflect the ball, and so she was out of position when the ball was deflected to the foot of Daniela Levy, who easily kicked it in. Brookline takes a 1-0 lead early in this game. Now Wellesley starting with it again. It's kicked back to Catherine Smith. Smith tries to send it over. I think she was looking for Jacobs, but Jacobs wasn't there, and so it's out of bounds. Some tough sloppiness by Wellesley early on as now Brookline gets the inbounds kick with just under 14 minutes left in the first quarter. Maddie Moore taps it over to Sarah Gonzalez. Gonzalez tries to send it in and runs into a number of defenders. And it's deflected away, and it goes to Lily Burnham, who boots it across midfield. Lindsay Mahoney chasing it down for Brookline with McKay Pratt in pursuit. She passes it back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos being chased by Pratt and has to kick it away in a hurry. She gets it to the foot of Samantha Friedman, who brings it across midfield. Friedman trying to gain the edge on her defenders. Sends a pass over to Levy. Levy trying to get around a defender. Now passing over to Frankel. Frankel tried to pass to Levy, but a bit of a miscommunication, and that's a loose ball kicked away by Wellesley and across midfield, but it looks like it's going to roll out of bounds since nobody was there. Daniela Levy, off the assist from Samantha Friedman, represents the lone score on the board here with 13 minutes left in the first quarter. Score is 1-0 Brookline. Brookline will get the inbounds kick in their own end. And again, they got to measure the whistle just right. It's kicked in. Now kicked further back. Looking for Caroline Wolf. Wolf now passes it over to Lindsay Mahoney on the other side, who then passes it over to Sarah Gonzalez along the near sideline. Gonzalez dribbling with it. Tries to send a pass to Frankel, but it's deflected away. And it looks like that's going to roll out of bounds. And that's going to be Brookline ball. Smart play by Lindsay Mahoney, just let it roll out of bounds. And Gonzalez kicks it in to Hope Leshley. Leshley dribbling in retreat. Kicks it over to Caroline Wolf for some more space. Wolf then kicks it over to the far side. And then it's passed over to Melanie Chernin. Chernin dribbling in some space. Gets around one defender. Kicks it over to Gonzalez, wide open on the near side. Gonzalez brings it across midfield. Tries to boot it. And it's deflected out by Lily de Oliveira. Collected by Tess Miller, who has to fight off Gonzalez and then tries to pass it. And again, nobody there. Some bad miscommunication on the passes early in this game by the Wellesley Raiders as Brookline again gets the inbounds kick. And tapped by Gonzalez over to Moore. Moore now tries a centering pass over to Levy. Levy collects it, then sends a pass over to Frankel. Frankel's got some space. She's in the box. Tries to tap it. It's deflected by a defender and then booted out of bounds by Catherine Smith. That was Lily de Oliveira and Catherine Smith on the defense to prevent the potential corner kick, but Brookline does have the inbounds kick deep in Wellesley's end. Sarah Gonzalez taps it to Maddie Moore. Maddie Moore has it kicked away and out of bounds once again, this time by Gaia Jacobs on the defense. Brookline trying to keep up the pressure. Take advantage of some early mistakes so far by Wellesley. Gonzalez will be kicking it inbounds once again. Gonzalez taps it over to Moore. Moore tries to get it through traffic, but it's deflected away. Now there's a fight for the ball. It's a bit of a scrum. And Smith gains control of it and kicks it out of bounds once again. And now it'll be Sarah Gonzalez and Sari Frankel. Tap to Frankel. Frankel boots it into the air towards the center, but it's batted down by Lily Burnham. Passed over to Tess Miller. Wellesley's got control of it again. The pass goes through to McKay Pratt across midfield. Pratt dribbling in space, tries a centering pass. Deflected away. That's Mia Pujols-Briseno, who taps it ahead to Samantha Friedman. Friedman now dribbling around traffic. Tries to pass to Leshley. Deflected by Burnham. Collected by Rory Clare. Clare passes it back to Catherine Smith, then over to Burnham. Burnham dribbling. Passes over to McKay Pratt. Then tapped back to Burnham. Burnham with a shot. Save, Anastopoulos. A nice move by Wellesley. Some great ball movement, but ultimately not enough mustard on the shot. Easily collected by Anastopoulos. Boots the ball back into play. A couple passes back and forth along the far side. Samantha Friedman sends a long pass down looking for Levy, but it's collected by Frankel. Frankel passes it over to Levy. Daniela Levy tries to send another pass back to Frankel, but it's deflected away just off the timing and deflected away by a Wellesley defender and ultimately booted into the clear. That was Kaylee Renzella on the defense there, coming through with a crucial deflection. It could have been a dangerous pass. And now we've got a free kick for Wellesley. Renzella taps it back, and then it's tapped back to Renzella. Renzella taps it back once again. Gabriela Torres boots it across midfield, looking for Burnham. Burnham collects it, being chased, and passes it over to Tess Miller. Miller passes over to Catherine Smith, who tries to boot it into the box, but it's easily scooped up by Anastopoulos as nobody else was near it. Juliana Anastopoulos rolls the ball in front of her and kicks it over to Melanie Chernin. Chernin with a pass over to Pujols Braceno along the far end. She gets around Brooke Fontana, and there's either going to be a foul or an out-of-bounds call. Looks like we're going to have some substitutions coming in. Not just yet, though, as Brookline is going to get the free kick for the foul on Fontana. Pujols Braceno passes it over to Chernin. Chernin's got some traffic to dribble through. She gets around a defender, gets across midfield, and gets taken down from behind. That's going to be another foul call. So it'll be another free kick for Brookline, and they're going to have Anastopoulos take this kick as they're past midfield. And they're going to try the same play that got them their lone goal against Needham, a free kick by the goalie that led to a deflection. We'll see what happens here. Anastopoulos charges, boots it into the air towards the box. It's deflected. There's a scrum for the ball. It goes back to Hope Leshley, who boots it into the air and well away from the net. It's being chased down by Levy, but sliding in was Ella Carl to deflect it over to Renzella. Renzella passes over to Fontana. Wellesley trying to clear. They pass it along the far end, and they've got a whistle. I think that was a foul call on Brookline. Dangerous play there for Brookline, but no score off of that one. Wellesley successfully able to clear as we have less than 7 minutes left in the first quarter. Pass from Renzella back to Torres. Torres dribbling, passes it over to Smith. Smith sends it back to De Oliveira. De Oliveira sends it back to Carl. Carl back to De Oliveira. Deflects away from her. Almost taken away by Brookline, but then cleared by Torres. Collected by Samantha Friedman for Brookline. Trying to dribble through multiple defenders. She's starting to gain the edge. Tries a centering kick, and it bounces into the arms of Ella Carl. Brookline making things dangerous for Wellesley here in the first period. They've already got the 1-0 lead, courtesy of a goal by Daniela Levy, with the assist coming from Samantha Friedman. Ella Carl boots it into the air, near midfield, kicked away by Hope Leshley, but it rolls over to Torres, who passes it over to Smith, passes it back to Torres, deflects a bit, but Torres collects it and sends it ahead to Rory Clare. Rory Clare kicks it across midfield, but it's collected by Caroline Wolf, passed over to Chernin, then passed over to Friedman. Friedman sends it ahead, almost collected by Torres, and now instead there's a scrum for the ball. Torres manages to recover, though, passes it back to De Oliveira, who kicks it across midfield, and now it's being chased by Mia Pujols Braceno, who passes it back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos stops it and kicks it into space, but it's collected by Rory Clare. Clare dribbling with some room, trying to get around Hope Leshley. Her kick is deflected by Leshley and goes out of bounds. Some nice on-ball defense by Hope Leshley as we've got our first group of substitutions. For Brookline, Zoe Fagnan and Ansley Washburn come in, replacing Maddie Moore and Melanie Chernin. For Wellesley, we have Abigail Tucker, Haley Genta, and Olivia Fletcher coming in, replacing Lily Burnham, McKay Pratt, and Brooke Fontana. Wellesley getting ready for the inbounds kick in the Brookline end. It's tapped back and forth. Now we got a player dribbling along the far side, getting dangerously close, but out of bounds. And so that'll be a goal kick for Anastopoulos. I think that, yes, that was Rory Clare, who was dribbling around the edge. Was starting to get dangerously close, but ran out of room. Anastopoulos kicks it into space for Washburn. Washburn dribbling against a defender, kicks it back to Wolf. Wolf sends it out to Pujols Braceno along the far side. Pujols Braceno sends it ahead to Friedman, but it deflects off Friedman's foot and out of bounds. So Wellesley will get the ball back. 4:15 left in the first quarter. Wellesley going for the inbounds kick just past midfield on the Brookline side. Kicked in by Renzella. It goes to Clare. Clare boots it into the air, deflected by Mahoney, collected by Leshley, and booted across midfield. but collected by Torres, and then passed over to De Oliveira, who boots it towards midfield, but deflected away by Wellesley, then collected, booted into the air, deflected by Gonzalez, and then Wellesley in a scrum for the ball, but it's won by Tess Miller. Miller sends a centering pass over to Burnham, then passed back to Renzella, then passed over to the far end looking for Tucker. Tucker collects it, now dribbling with some room to work, tries to pass into space, but it's deflected away by Mahoney. Now booted over to the near side to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan trying to dribble around a defender. It gets knocked out of bounds by Gaia Jacobs. It'll be Sarah Gonzalez and Zoe Fagnan working on the indirect kick in bounds. Or maybe it's inbounds, maybe it was a foul. Either way, Gonzalez tips it to Fagnan, passes back to Wellesley. Wellesley being chased by Burnham. Wellesley gets around her by trying to get through Miller. Gets around Claire. And then Wellesley passes it across midfield for Daniela Levy, then passed over to Frankel. Frankel sends a pass over to Friedman. Friedman has the ball taken away. It deflected too far, taken away by Claire. Booted ahead for Haley Genta, and then booted into the air looking for Burnham, but taken away by Sarah Gonzalez. Gonzalez dribbling around, and I thought I heard a whistle, and now the refs are blowing the play dead. There might have been a foul call a few seconds before they stopped. Sarah Gonzalez and Zoe Fagnan again. Gonzalez taps it to Fagnan. Fagnan passes it back to Caroline Wolf. Wolf dribbling with it. Passes into space for Washburn. Washburn taps it back to Wolf, who passes it across over to Mahoney. Lindsay Mahoney passes it over the near side to Sarah Gonzalez. Gonzalez dribbling in some space. Defense is closing, so she passes it, deflected by Wellesley, but then not enough, and it's taken away by Jacobs, passed over to Burnham. Burnham dribbling in space, and has it stolen away by Sarah Gonzalez. Gonzalez boots it all the way down to Samantha Friedman. Friedman dribbling across midfield, being chased by Abigail Tucker. She gets almost through Tucker, but Tucker manages to kick it away. And a couple players were fighting for it. That was Friedman and Olivia Fletcher who were fighting for it, and they're going to call the foul on Friedman. And so it'll be a free kick for Wellesley, as we are now in stoppage time of the first quarter. So the free kick for Wellesley, back and forth between a couple of players. Now Gabriela Torres puts it across midfield into space. And, after a brief deflection, it's collected by Claire. Claire now dribbling on the attack, being defended by Sarah Gonzalez. And I think that deflection out of bounds is going to be off Brookline, and that's going to go for a corner kick. Or no, they're going to say it was off Claire, and that's going to be a goal kick. Big defensive stop there by Sarah Gonzalez, as Anastopoulos kicks it over to Mahoney. Mahoney looking for an outlet. She boots it into the air, bounces across midfield, but collected by De Oliveira. De Oliveira kicks it into space after a bounce that lands at the foot of Lily Burnham. Then passed back to Rory Claire. Claire boots it into the air. It's collected by Haley Genta, passed back to Claire, and before she can get a shot off, that's the end of the first quarter. So after one quarter of play, the score here at Wellesley Middle High School is the visiting Brookline High Warriors 1 and the hosting Wellesley High Raiders 0. The lone score coming from Daniela Levy off the assist from Samantha Friedman. So as we get ready to take this break between quarters, I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan bringing you this live broadcast, and I'll be back after a short mute break. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Wellesley Middle High School in Wellesley, Massachusetts. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan bringing you this high school girls soccer matchup between the visiting Brookline High Warriors and the hosting Wellesley High Raiders. Brookline currently leading 1-0 as we're getting ready to start the second quarter. Brookline will start with the ball and be playing from my left while Wellesley plays from my right. Sorry, Frankel at the center with the ball, getting ready to start things for Brookline. And here we go. The pass goes back, and the pass goes further back, retreating back to Caroline Wolf, who then passes it ahead looking for Alex Levy. Levy almost lost control of it, was being chased by defenders, had to pass it away, but then the pass is taken away by Tucker, passed over to Lily Burnham, kicked into the air, and saved by Anastopoulos. So rough start for Brookline as Anastopoulos rolls it out to the far side. A boot ahead is deflected and then collected by Gabriela Torres. Passed over to Rory Clare, who dribbles away from a defender, then passes it over to the far side to Tess Miller. Miller sends it ahead to Burnham. Burnham tries to pass out of some trouble, and it gets taken away by Brookline. Passed back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney now booting it through space. It gets deflected away. Collected by Brookline. Passed over to Melanie Chernin. Chernin passes it over to the near side. That's Nilufar Dadgar, number 17. And then after a couple passes, it is taken away by Wellesley. Brooke Fontana tried a centering kick, well deflected into the air by Mahoney. And on the pursuit of the ball, a foul is called. And I think that was a foul against Brookline, and this could be a dangerous chance. They are just outside of the penalty box here. Looks like this is going to be an indirect kick. Gabriela Torres setting up to tap it to Rory Clare, who is the main kicker for Wellesley, the one who typically kicks it into the air. And with an indirect kick, you've got to have someone else touch it first before it gets kicked into the air. So Torres will be tapping it to Clare, who will then likely boot it towards the net. Brief bit of confusion as Torres almost touched it, but not quite. Now she taps it. Clare boots it towards the net, and it's in! What a shot by Rory Clare over the outstretched hand of Juliana Anastopoulos, and we've got a tie ball game. The shots don't get much prettier than that. You know, nice high shot over the hand, under the bar, and into the net on the far side. Pretty shot by Rory Clare, and that ties things up 1-1. Sorry, Frankel will be starting things from the center once again for Brookline. Kicks it back to Chernin. Chernin dribbling around a defender, passes it over to Dadgar on the far side, on the near side, who then passes it ahead to Gianna Pentland, then passed over to Frankel. Attempted pass back to Pentland, deflected but recollected by Frankel. Frankel now trying to dribble away from trouble. Now passes it ahead to Pentland. Pentland dribbling through some space, boots it all the way across over to the far side, and then booted towards the center looking for Pentland again. Pentland collects it. She's dribbling, getting close to the penalty box, sends a kick in. It's deflected away by De Oliveira. They are trying to clear it now, a bit of a scrum for the ball, and it ultimately gets cleared away from the box, being chased down by Melanie Chernin and Rory Clare, and a foul is called against Chernin. So it'll be a free kick for Wellesley. Lily De Oliveira taps it over to Kaylee Renzella. Renzella being chased by Alex Levy, and she boots it ahead to Lily Burnham, who taps it over to Brooke Fontana. Fontana dribbling along the near sideline, being defended by Dadgar. Fontana stops, kicks a centering kick. It's tapped into the air and grabbed out of the air by Anastopoulos, being chased by Abigail Tucker. That was a dangerous chance, and instead it's thrown in along the far side to Zoe Fagnan, passed over to Chernin. Chernin passes it ahead to Pentland. Pentland's got some room to work. She dribbles and decides to boot it, looking for a chase for, I believe that's Frankel, but it's kicked out of bounds by Gaia Jacobs. Just a bit too much of a lead on that pass from Pentland, looking for Frankel, as now Brookline taps it in bounds. Bit of dribbling, and a kick is deflected. The kick from Zoe Fagnan deflected by another Wellesley defender, and that'll be out of bounds. Brookline's ball once again. Just over 16 minutes left in the half. Brookline will be tapping it in once again. Tap to Frankel. Frankel tries to kick it towards the center. Deflected off of one foot and then cleared out by Wellesley. Recollected by Brookline. The pass goes over to Alex Levy. Levy tries a pass and it's intercepted. That's Brooke Fontana now dribbling and tries to kick it across midfield. It's deflected by Dadgar but goes right to Lily Burnham. Burnham trying to send a pass over to Abigail Tucker. Tucker's got some space to work, but the pass goes a little too far and almost pins her in the corner. She tries to get around Dadgar, but loses the ball out of bounds. So it'll be a goal kick for Juliana Anastopoulos here in this 1-1 ball game with 15.5 minutes left in the half. Anastopoulos boots it into the air, going down the far side. It's deflected into the air by Olivia Fletcher, and a bit of a scrum for the ball. It's won by Wellesley, and the ball goes to Gabriela Torres. Passed over to Lily Burnham. Burnham trying to get around Mahoney, can't do it. Mahoney kicks it away, goes to the foot of Fagnan. Fagnan tries a pass, deflected by Torres and collected by Rory Clare. Clare passes it to Tucker. Knocked away by Wolf, but they're going to call a foul, I believe, on Caroline Wolf. So another potentially dangerous free kick for Wellesley. They got a goal off their last indirect kick just outside of the box by Rory Clare, and it looks like they've got the same setup. A tap by Torres to satisfy the rules of the indirect kick, and then a boot by the big foot of Rory Clare. Or no, they're saying it's a direct kick, so Clare will just be booting it. Goes high and too high this time, over the crossbar, out of bounds. Anastopoulos will have the goal kick. 1-1 the score. Daniela Levy with the goal for Brookline. Rory Clare with the goal for Wellesley. Anastopoulos with a goal kick with just over 14 minutes left in the half. Boots it into the air, looking for Gianna Pentland. Deflects off of her, rolls a bit far. Fontana had the box out, and Pentland just ran over her, so that's going to be a foul on Pentland. So another free kick for Wellesley. This around the 30-yard line of what would be the football field. And so it's a direct kick again. Clare boots it, and this one well wide of the goal on the near side. That's going to go out of bounds for a goal kick.
Let's go, Wellesley!
Anastopoulos kicks it over to Mahoney. Mahoney sends it along the far side. And now a pass through looking for Frankel. Frankel controls it, dribbling through some traffic. She passes it back. An attempted centering pass is taken away by Lily Burnham. Burnham taps it through for Clare, who boots it into the box, and it's easily scooped up by Anastopoulos. She chucks it down the near side, looking for Pentland. Pentland collects it, trying to dribble around a defender. She tries to send a pass ahead. It's deflected out of bounds by Brooke Fontana. The pass was intended for Alex Levy. Pentland, or rather Nilufar Dadgar, getting ready to tap the ball in bounds. Dadgar passes it into Chernin. Chernin passes it through to Levy. Levy dribbling along the near side. Tries to fake a kick, but has it almost taken away by the defender. Now passes it over to Pentland. Pentland with the centering kick. It's high, a bit too high, and a bit too far. It goes out of bounds. So that'll be a goal kick for Ella Carl. Kaylee Renzella was chasing on defense, but now it'll be a goal kick for Wellesley's Ella Carl. Carl winds up. It looks like she's going to go for a big kick as she's directing her teammates to go further down. We've got a whistle. Not sure why, but either way, now they're allowing the goal kick to go. Carl boots a line drive into space, deflected off a couple of players, but ultimately collected by Gabby Torres, passed over to Brooke Fontana along the near side. Fontana and it looks like after a scrum for the ball, it's going to be a foul call.
Good work, Black. Keep it up, ladies.
And it'll be a free kick for Brookline. Wolf kicks it into space, looking for Frankel. Frankel passes it over to the near side for Pentland. Pentland dribbling in space, passes it over to Chernin. Chernin with another pass over to Liv Ernst. After a scrum for the ball, it's kicked back out. Then passed back over to Ernst. Ernst passes it back, looking for Mahoney, but oh, this is a bit dangerous. And Mahoney has to kick it back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos passes it over to Mahoney. Mahoney now passes it over to That was kicked ahead across midfield for Alex Levy. Now Alex Levy trying to send a through pass, looking for somebody, but it's scooped up easily by Ella Carl. It's booted into the air, deflected off the foot of Fontana. Goes to Burnham. Burnham taps it ahead looking for Tucker, but it's kicked out of bounds by Caroline Wolf. Brooke Fontana kicks it back to Kaylee Renzella. Her kick is deflected by Alex Levy, and it goes back to Lily de Oliveira, who has to kick it out of bounds. 9.5 minutes left in the half. It's tapped into Gianna Pentland, who tries to get through a defender but can't do it. It's taken away by Fontana. Fontana passes it over to Tucker, who tried to pass it, but it was deflected by Dadgar. Tucker trying to recover it. She does. Tries a pass. It deflects off Liv Ernst, but then collected and then passed ahead to Burnham. Burnham has it kicked away, but collected by Torres, then passed for Tez Miller. Now another few passes going around for the Brookline players. Zoe Fagnan with the ball now. Dribbling along the far side. Looking for a passing lane. Finally gets a pass away to Frankel, but Frankel juggled it a bit, and it was taken away by Wellesley. Some attempted clearing passes. The ball ends up going into the air, and it's taken away by Melanie Chernin. Chernin with a pass over to the near side to Dadgar, who kicks it across midfield, but a bit too far, and it's chased down by Renzella, who taps it back to Carl, who kicks it back to Renzella. Renzella dribbling along the near side, and almost has it taken away by Frankel, but we've got a whistle. And it looks like they might have called a foul on Frankel. Or no, maybe they called the foul on Renzella. If that foul is on Renzella, this is a dangerous chance for Brookline. Frankel getting ready for a free kick. Frankel tries to kick it, deflected off a defender's foot. Collected by Chernin. Chernin trying to dribble away from traffic. Tries to send a pass towards the box. Nothing but Raiders there, and it gets booted out. Dadgar then boots it into the air. Both teams go for a header and miss. It's kicked in the air by Wellesley once again, and now it's collected again by Chernin. Pass back to number 16, Mila Seifert. Passed over to Fagnan along the far side. Zoe Fagnan now dribbling in space. Tries to send a kick towards the box. It's being chased by Pentland, but I don't think she's going to get there in time before it gets out of bounds. She saves it from going out of bounds, but nope, she didn't. There's the whistle. That'll be a goal kick. Well, as Wellesley gets ready for the goal kick, I regret to say that my daily time on Mixlr is running dangerously low after I covered a game yesterday, and the 24-hour limit has not reset just yet due to the early time of this game. I have about 5 minutes and 20 seconds left, even though there's 6:55 left on the quarter clock. I'll keep broadcasting for as long as I can, but the broadcast might time out on me at some point. But for right now, battle for the ball around midfield. It's booted into the air a couple of times. And now Wellesley booting it across midfield, trying to get something going. It's collected by Lindsay Mahoney, booted back to Juliana Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos boots it into the air. That might go a bit too far. It does go across midfield, collected by Kaylee Renzella. Renzella being chased by Samantha Friedman. And we got a whistle. I think that's going to be a foul on Renzella. Wellesley fans not a fan of that call. As Brookline gets the free kick, we've got Mia Pujols-Braceno and Caroline Wolf. Wolf taps it for Braceno. Braceno kicks it into space. It is collected for a second by Levy, but then taken away by Wellesley. It goes to McKay Pratt. Pratt passes it over, and then passed back to Pratt from Gabrielle Lazaro. Pratt passes it over to Rory Clare. Clare collects it and boots it towards the box, caught like a can of corn by Anastopoulos. Brooke Fontana was running down the near sideline wide open. And I think some of the fans were screaming for a pass, but it did not come. Anastopoulos boots it into space, collected by Fagnan, now passed into the crowd, deflected out by Wellesley. It goes to Hope Leshley, then pass over to Fagnan, over to Chernin. Chernin dribbling, being pursued, and she passes it back to Caroline Wolf, then over to Pujols-Braceno. Pujols-Braceno passes over to Chernin. It's deflected into the air by Torres. Then recollected by Chernin for a second, but then kicked away again by Torres. Pujols-Braceno collects it and kicks it along the near side, collected by Friedman. Friedman's now got some space to work, passes it over to Alex Levy. Levy gets into a collision with Olivia Fletcher, and they're going to call the foul on Fletcher. So it'll be a free kick for Brookline. Thank you. Hope Leshley now getting ready for the free kick for Brookline. And boots it well into the air. It's flying and caught high by Ella Carl. Powerful kick by Hope Leshley. And Ella Carl boots it into the air. After a bit of a scrum for the ball, it's collected by Brooke Fontana and kicked towards the center. And a physical chase for the ball, and a foul is called on Brookline. I believe that was called on Seifert in pursuit of Olivia Lund. Lily de Oliveira getting ready for the free kick. She passes it over to Torres. Torres dribbling around one defender. Passes across the field for Fletcher. Passed back to Gaia Jacobs. Jacobs boots it across, but it's kicked away, I think, by Seifert. Goes towards the middle. It's collected by Daniela Levy. Passed over to Hope Leshley, who's now dribbling with some space across midfield, but runs into a defender. It's kicked away by McKay Pratt. Goes way down in the Brookline end, but safely collected by Mahoney, booted back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos boots it, line drive headed towards midfield, almost goes out of bounds, and I think they're going to say it did go out of bounds. Not collected in time by Zoe Fagnan. Unfortunately, I only got about a minute 10 seconds left on my daily time for Mixler, which doesn't refresh until about 1:30. So, again, I'll keep broadcasting for as long as I can, as I got about a minute left. But I appreciate all you who have listened today to what broadcast I've managed. Once again, the score: Brookline 1, Wellesley 1. Brookline's goal coming from Daniela Levy off the assist from Samantha Friedman, and Wellesley's goal coming from a free kick by Rory Clare, with the tap for the indirect kick rule coming from Gabriela Torres. Brookline trying to get things moving. Balls with Alex Levy. Levy trying to dribble around a defender. She eventually fights through it, passes ahead, and now dribbling down the far sideline is Fagnan, but it gets taken away by Jacobs, passed over to Tess Miller. Miller kicks it into space for Pratt. Kicked over to the far side, and now kicked across midfield for Olivia Lund. Deflects too far and collected by Leshley. Passed back, and I'm out of time, so thank you for listening. Hello, and welcome back to Wellesley Middle High School in Wellesley, Massachusetts. Sorry for the brief break there. I have now upgraded my plan on Mixler, and I am back to broadcast the second half of this high school girls soccer matchup between the visiting Brookline High Warriors and the hosting Wellesley High Raiders. Game score currently tied at 1 apiece. Brookline got the first goal of the game early in the first period on a score by Daniela Levy off an assist from Samantha Friedman. But then Wellesley responded in the second quarter with a free kick goal by Rory Clare with the tap assist from Gabriela Torres. So 1-1 the score, and we'll see how things shake out as we get ready to start the third quarter. Wellesley starting with the ball. We see Lily Burnham and McKay Pratt at the center around the ball. On the far side is Abigail Tucker, and on the near side is Brooke Fontana. And behind them they've got Rory Clare, Gabriela Torres, and Gabrielle Lazaro. Brookline presently huddling up as they now come out. Again, the score 1-1 here in Wellesley as we get ready to start the third quarter of play. Wellesley will start with the ball, playing from my left while Brookline plays from my right. And we're underway. Burnham kicks it back to Claire. Rory Claire taps it along the edge to Torres. Torres tries to kick it across midfield, but it's collected by Sarah Gonzalez for Brookline. Gonzalez kicks it across midfield. It's deflected up into the air, being chased by a couple players, ultimately deflected ahead by Tucker over to McKay Pratt. Pratt sends a pass along the near side over to Brooke Fontana. Fontana tries a centering kick, deflected by Hope Leshley. Goes back to Lindsay Mahoney, who taps it back to the goalie Juliana Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos passes it ahead to Leshley, then back to Mahoney. Mahoney boots it downfield, going towards midfield, but it's collected and kicked ahead by Gaia Jacobs. After a deflection, it goes to Lazaro, who passes it over to Torres. Torres passes it ahead to Fontana. Fontana boots it towards the box and deflected out. I believe that was Mia Pujols-Braceno. And then it's kicked ahead by Hope Leshley. After a deflection, it's collected by Melanie Chernin. Chernin sends a pass along the near side looking for Maddie Moore. Moore collects it, dribbling against Gaia Jacobs, and Jacobs gets the edge and kicks the ball out of bounds. So Brookline maintains possession deep in the Wellesley end as they get ready to kick the ball inbounds. Sarah Gonzalez taps it over to Sari Frankel. Frankel dribbles a bit, then tries to send a through pass to somebody, but nobody there, and it's kicked away by Rory Claire. It goes to McKay Pratt. Pratt tries to pass it back for Claire, but it's a bit far, and it's kicked away by Pujols-Braceno. Goes to the center, and it's fought for by Chernin. A couple players deflected away, but it goes to Sari Frankel. Frankel now dribbling with some space. Sends a pass over to Daniela Levy. Levy hits traffic, gets tripped, no call, and it gets taken away by Wellesley. After a couple passes, it's with Rory Claire. Claire boots it across midfield. It's now being chased after by Lily Burnham, Caroline Wolf, and ultimately it's Juliana Anastopoulos sliding in to snag the ball. Anastopoulos holding it, looking for an outlet. She drops it and then kicks it over to Wolf. Wolf kicks it ahead, deflected and taken away by Wellesley. Centering pass over to Claire. Claire tried to kick it from just the edge of the box, but sandwiched between two defenders, and instead it rolls harmlessly to Anastopoulos, who tries to chuck it for Maddie Moore, but it's taken away by Gaia Jacobs. Now Jacobs dribbling through some defenders and gets into some space, but then chased down by Sarah Gonzalez, and we've got a foul call, and I think the foul call is against Gaia Jacobs. So Brookline will get a free kick deep in their own end. Sarah Gonzalez and Lindsay Mahoney setting up. No, it's just Mahoney, and it's kicked back to Anastopoulos, and then kicked over to the other end to Wolf. Wolf kicks it over to Pujols-Braceno. Pujols-Braceno dribbling with it along the far side, being chased down by Abigail Tucker. Attempts a centering pass for Chernin, stolen away by Lazaro, but then collected by Leshley. Leshley passes it over to Frankel, who taps it over to Friedman. Friedman attempted centering pass for Chernin, deflected over to Leshley. Leshley passes it over to Gonzalez along the near side. Gonzalez dribbling with space to work. She sends an attempted pass, intercepted by Jacobs, and Jacobs tries to kick it away, deflected by Leshley, but collected by Claire. Claire passes over to Burnham. Burnham tries to pass over for Pratt, but it goes wide and out of bounds. Brookline will have the inbounds kick. 16:15 left in the third quarter as it's tapped into Maddie Moore, who tries to pass it back to Gonzalez, but goes too long and out of bounds. So now Wellesley takes over near midfield. Jacobs kicks it in for Claire. Claire being defended by Chernin, and they're going to call a foul, I believe. I think that's going to be against Chernin. Rory Claire getting ready for the free kick for Wellesley. Claire decides to pass it over to Gabby Torres. Torres dribbles around one defender, then passes it over to Brooke Fontana along the near side. Fontana passes it down looking for Burnham, deflected by Mahoney. It goes near out of bounds. Burnham was trying to collect it, but couldn't quite do it. Instead, it'll be a goal kick for Brookline. Anastopoulos kicks it over to Mahoney. Mahoney boots it into the air towards midfield. Goes off the foot of Frankel, and then Frankel collects it. Tries to boot it towards midfield looking for Friedman. Friedman gets it down and collects it. Friedman dribbling around a couple defenders. Being chased, and she passes it over to Sarah Gonzalez along the near side. Gonzalez now being chased. She manages to get a pass away to Maddie Moore. Moore trying to fight through Gaia Jacobs. Loses the ball, but it's collected by Wellesley. Wellesley now dribbling away from a defender herself. Dribbling around, trying to get away from Rory Clare, and finally draws a foul from Clare. So that'll be a free kick for Brookline. Stubborn chasing defense there by Wellesley, keeping the Brookline attackers on their toes, but that time just a little too physical and results in a foul call. Gonzalez taps it over to Moore. Moore boots it into the air towards center. It's deflected into the air by De Oliveira. She's trying to get it away, gets it to Torres. Torres passes it ahead to Clare. Clare over to Pratt. McKay Pratt passes back to Rory Clare. Clare now dribbling with some space to work, but she's being chased by Wellesley. Passes it over to the far side to Abigail Tucker. Tucker sends a pass back to Torres. Torres boots it in the air towards the net and easily caught by Anastopoulos. Nice sequence of ball movement by Wellesley, but couldn't get a quality shot off. Easy save for Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos boots it into the air looking for Friedman. Friedman collects it. Friedman tries to send a centering pass, but nobody home, and instead it's collected by Brooke Fontana. Fontana tries to send a pass, skips away from a couple of people, and now after the deflection, it looks like they're going to call a foul on Abigail Tucker. Mia Pujols-Braceno fell down. I think Wellesley thought she might have just tripped on her own feet, and if she had, that would have been a golden opportunity for Tucker, as there was nobody around to stop her from getting a good shot off. Instead, it'll just be a free kick. Anastopoulos boots it across midfield. Collected for a second by Levy. Kicked into the air, can't control it, and it's taken away by Wellesley. But then as they try and clear, it gets taken away by Brookline. And Chernin passes it over to Gonzalez. Gonzalez dribbling along the near side. Passes over to Frankel. Frankel dribbling, looking for a space. Passes it over to Chernin. Chernin attempts the kick. It's deflected. Deflected by De Oliveira. Passes to Fontana. They're trying to clear it now. They send it ahead to McKay Pratt. Pratt being surrounded by some Brookline defenders. The ball rolls out of bounds, and they're going to say Wellesley ball. Or are they saying Brookline ball? The ref just pointed the wrong way, I guess. Gonzalez taps it to Moore. Moore tries to dribble, and it's knocked out of bounds by Pratt. Brookline ball once again. Now Gonzalez passes it back to Wellesley this time. Wellesley tries to boot it across the field, gets it to Wolf. Wolf passes over to Mahoney. Mahoney passes it back to Gonzalez along the near side. Gonzalez gets it away, looking for Frankel. It deflects off Frankel's foot and goes out of bounds. Moore was trying to save it but couldn't get there in time. And instead, it'll be Wellesley ball. Fontana going for the inbounds pass, taps it over to Gabby Torres. Torres passes it looking for Rory Clare. Clare passes looking for Burnham, deflected away by Caroline Wolf. Ball's bouncing into space. Booted ahead by Friedman, looking for Levy. Levy tries to kick, but deflected by Rory Clare. She collects it and passes it over to the far side to Kaylee Renzella. Renzella passes it over to, I believe, Tucker, then over to Torres, then back to Gaia Jacobs. Jacobs sent it ahead. It's taken away by Brookline. Laser kick, but deflected by De Oliveira. Big kick. I believe that was Hope Wellesley who tried to fire the cannon there, but well stopped by Lily De Oliveira, and after some more deflections, it goes out of bounds. Brookline ball. 10:45 left in the third quarter as Brookline getting ready for the inbounds kick. And again, we've got the whistle. Something wasn't quite up to regulations. Pass in from Pujols-Braceno to Friedman. She tries to pass it towards the center to Wellesley. Wellesley being chased by a couple defenders. She manages to pass it back to Friedman. Friedman tries to fight through a defender, can't do it. The loose ball collected by Wellesley. Wellesley dribbling. Sends a pass back to Pujols-Braceno. Pujols-Braceno now dribbling against Lily Burnham. She jukes, trying to get around, running out of space. The ball gets knocked out of bounds, and they're saying that went off Burnham. So Pujols-Braceno will have the inbounds kick for Brookline. She tries to do the inbounds kick, but we've got another whistle as once again things weren't properly set up. Pujols-Braceno now kicks it in, looking for Frankel. It gets deflected and collected by Torres. Passed over to Burnham, then passed to the middle to Rory Clare. Clare kicks it across midfield. Mahoney trying to track it down. She boots it back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos kicks it into the air, looking for Maddie Moore along the near side. Moore taps it to Gonzalez. Gonzalez taps it back to Moore. Moore sends it through to, Frankel. Frankel now dribbling against Gaia Jacobs. She tries to kick it, deflected by Jacobs and kicked away, but the kick away is collected by Chernin. Chernin tries to boot it, and it bounces wide. We've got some subs coming in for Wellesley. This is Tess Miller and Catherine Smith, replacing Brooke Fontana and Gabrielle Lazaro. So now Ella Carl getting ready for the goal kick for Wellesley. Boots it into the air. A couple players fighting for it, and ultimately collected by Sarah Gonzalez. Pass to the center to Chernin. Chernin tries to send it through. Gets it to Frankel. Frankel now dribbling. Passes over to Leshley. Leshley boots it, but it rolls right into the waiting arms of Ella Carl. So nice ball movement by Brookline as they got on the attack, but couldn't get enough on the shot. Easy save for Ella Carl. Carl boots it into the air, bounces across midfield, and ultimately deflected by Caroline Wolf. Heads up deflection there, but it's recollected by Wellesley. Now they're passing it around. Rory Clare has it now. Boots it down the near side looking for McKay Pratt. Kicked out of bounds by Lindsay Mahoney, and that'll be Wellesley ball. 7:40 left in the third quarter. Game still tied at 1. Rory Clare getting ready to do the inbounds kick for Wellesley. Taps it for Gabby Torres. Torres boots it towards the center, but nobody there. Deflects off a defender, but collected by Tess Miller. She boots it in the air looking for Tucker, but it's kicked away, I believe, by Friedman. Catherine Smith collects the clear, though. Passes it back looking for Tucker. Tucker now boots it back to Renzella. Renzella kicks it in. It's deflected into the air, and we've got a whistle. It's either a foul or a handball or something, but either way, it's against Brookline and gives Wellesley a dangerous chance. They're not too far. What? Oh, they're saying there was a head-to-head or something. Either way, it'll be a free kick for Wellesley. Of course, a free kick was how they got their only goal thus far. And the same group is lining up, Gabby Torres and Rory Clare. They go for the tap, but fake it as they tap back to Clare. She boots it high and just over the bar. Rory Clare has made things dangerous off those free kicks. She's got 1 goal today and 2 shots that sailed over the bar, and that most recent one just barely went too high. Juliana Anastopoulos with the goal kick. She sends it to Melanie Chernin. Chernin dribbling with some space. Attempted pass deflected by Catherine Smith, but collected by Samantha Friedman. Passed back to Mia Pujols-Braceno. Passed over to Friedman. An attempted pass intercepted by Catherine Smith. Booted ahead, but the deflection goes back to Brookline. Friedman dribbling with it. Almost had to take it away. Recovers. Passes over to Hope Leshley, who then passes over to Maddie Moore. Moore passes ahead looking for Daniela Levy. Levy taps it over looking for Gonzalez, but it's kicked away by Gaia Jacobs. It goes across midfield and is collected by Lindsay Mahoney, who kicks it back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos kicks it over to Pujols-Braceno along the far side. Pujols-Braceno collects it, passes over to Chernin. Chernin passes, looking for Wellesley. Wellesley now dribbling with it across midfield. Got some space to work. Passes looking for Maddie Moore. This could be dangerous. Oh, but it's cut off and kicked away by Lily de Oliveira. Collected inbounds by Lily Burnham, and now she's dribbling in the Brookline end. She's got some space to work, trying to get through a couple defenders. Almost taken away by Sarah Gonzalez, but they're going to call the foul. A brilliant clearing kick by Lily de Oliveira set up Lily Burnham to advance on the Brookline end, and then she got taken out from behind by Sarah Gonzalez, setting up a free kick. This is just barely outside the box. So once again, they're right in Rory Clare's wheelhouse for the free kick. We'll see what they're able to do. And Clare boots it high in the air and over the net once again. That'll be another goal kick for Brookline. 4 minutes left in the third quarter. Game still knotted up. Brookline 1, Wellesley 1. Juliana Anastopoulos lining up for the goal kick. Boots it into the air towards midfield. Skips along, collected by Frankel and kicked over to Friedman. Samantha Friedman dribbling along the far side, picking up speed, trying to get the edge. She's got a bit of an edge. She's going to kick a centering kick over to Levy. Levy taps it. It goes to Moore. Now Frankel, oh, they're trying for it. It's a bit of a scrum. Frankel's got the ball once again. She turns around, kicks, scores! Sorry, Frankel with the go-ahead goal. Great hustle in the box by Brookline. Seemed like the play was going to fall apart. A great advance by Samantha Friedman down the far side as she was able to get the centering kick in. And then a battle for it by Daniela Levy and Maddie Moore, and ultimately Sari Frankel collecting it after a valiant effort by the Wellesley defense. The score now 2-1. Wellesley now trying to bring up the ball. Rory Clare kicks it too far ahead, and it's collected by Anastopoulos. 2-1, now the score in favor of Brookline. Brookline has now doubled up the total amount of goals they'd scored all season in this one game. Pass back and forth, it goes to Anastopoulos, then over to Caroline Wolf, kicked ahead to Melanie Chernin. Chernin gets fouled, and that'll be a free kick for Brookline with just under 3 minutes left in the quarter. Free kick goes to Chernin. Chernin then passes over to the near side. It rolls to Sarah Gonzalez. Gonzalez dribbling with it. Tries to send a pass towards the middle. Hits traffic, and we've got another foul call. And this one's going to be against Wellesley once again. Hope Wellesley getting ready for the free kick. She kicks it over to Chernin. Chernin passes it over to the far side for Pujols-Braceno. Passed ahead to Friedman. Friedman passing it through, looking for Levy. Levy kicks it high and wide of the net. Again, some nice ball movement for Brookline. No score this time as Ansley Washburn checks into the game, replacing Melanie Chernin. We're in stoppage time of the third quarter. Brookline leads Wellesley 2-1. Ella Carl getting ready for the goal kick for Wellesley. She boots it away. Collected by Rory Clare. Tapped back for Kaylee Renzella. Renzella kicks it along the far side, but it gets away from Lily Burnham and out of bounds. So Pujols-Braceno and Friedman lining up near each other for the inbounds kick, waiting for the whistle. But Pujols-Braceno ultimately kicks it back to Wolf. Wolf then kicks it ahead to Pujols-Braceno. Pujols-Braceno trying to fight through Lily Burnham. It gets knocked out of bounds, and they'll say Brookline ball. Pujols-Braceno kicks it in, but has it taken away immediately by Wellesley. Now some passing back and forth. It's controlled by Claire, and they're going to call a foul on Rory Claire as she was trying to chase down the ball. Caroline Wolf getting ready for the free kick. Kicks it over to Pujols-Braceno. Pujols-Braceno kicks looking for Washburn. Intercepted by Wellesley. And now streaking down the field. I think this is Lily Burnham. Boots it and well wide of the net. Lily Burnham with some hustle here at the end of the third quarter. A big interception, and she was coming down the field fast, but ultimately couldn't get properly set for the shot as it sails well wide of the net. Anastopoulos boots the goal kick into the air, looking for Maddie Moore. Moore manages to collect it after a couple high bounces. Goes across midfield, and we've got another foul call, and I think we've got the whistle for the end of the quarter. And that will be the end of the third quarter. The score after 3 here in Wellesley is Brookline 2, Wellesley 1. Sorry, Frankel coming through with the big go-ahead score. And I'll be back with the fourth quarter of play after a brief mute break. This is Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan at Wellesley Middle High School in Wellesley, Massachusetts. I'll be back soon. Stay tuned. And we're back here at Wellesley Middle High School in Wellesley, Massachusetts. I'm Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, bringing you the fourth and final quarter of this girls' high school soccer matchup between the visiting Brookline High Warriors and the hosting Wellesley High Raiders. Brookline comes into this fourth quarter with a 2-1 lead, courtesy of goals by Daniela Levy in the first quarter and Sari Frankel in the third quarter. And it'll be Brookline starting with the ball as Levy kicks it back to Hope Leshley. Leshley kicks it back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney decides to kick it over to the near side, looking for Mia Pujols-Braceno. It skips past her, but goes to Gianna Pentland. Pentland boots it in the air, looking for a target. She hits her target. That's Daniela Levy. Levy turns around, passes it over, and we've got an offsides call. Levy was looking for Zoe Fagnan along the far side. Some good ball movement there, but just bouncing too high, slowed the play down. And once the timing was off, it's all too easy to make a mistake and get an offsides call. The free kick by Carl, and then a whistle? Oh, because Ella Carl, the goalie, kicked it into the air when it had to be kicked along the ground, and so Brookline is going to get a free kick really close to the penalty box. This might be an indirect kick, it might be a direct one. Hope Leshley lining up for it. We got a tap. Leshley winds up, kicks it, and a low bouncer is scooped up by Ella Carl for the save. Carl boots it into the air. It's collected by Gianna Pentland. Dribbling through several defenders, she passes it looking for Fagnan on the far side, but deflected away by Wellesley. It goes well into the air. It skips away from Pujols-Braceno, collected by Brooke Fontana along the near side. Fontana with a centering pass looking for Claire. Claire's got a little bit of room to work, but being chased by Leshley. Her kick is deflected by Leshley, but collected by Claire. Passed back to Catherine Smith, then passed into Lily Burnham. Burnham trying to get around Mahoney. Trying to gain the edge. A centering kick, but not enough room. Ran out of room there and easily scooped up by Anastopoulos. Nice defense there by Lindsay Mahoney to contain the attack attempt by Lily Burnham. Anastopoulos drops the ball down and now boots it away, but it's deflected by Catherine Smith. Being chased down by Torres. Torres tries a retreating pass, but it's collected by Sari Frankel. Frankel tries to dribble through Renzella, can't do it, but after the attempt to clear, it's taken away by Frankel once again. Frankel passes it along the near side for Pentland. Pentland passes it back looking for Frankel, but it's lost out of bounds. Wellesley will take over on the out of bounds within their own end. Kaylee Renzella setting up to kick it in bounds. She passes it for Claire. Claire takes off down the near side. Sends a pass ahead looking for Brooke Fontana. It's being chased by Fontana and Caroline Wolf. And Wolf knocks it out of bounds. So just like maybe a yard away from where a corner kick would take place, will be this inbounds kick. Fontana taps it for Claire, but we've got a whistle. They did it too quickly. They got to wait for the proper signal. Everybody's trying to get used to these inbounds kicks. Fontana taps it in for Claire. Claire boots it in the air. It deflects off of Daniela Levy and then is booted away by Pujols-Braceno and collected by Kaylee Renzella. Renzella tries to kick it back in, looking for Fontana. Fontana tries to dribble through, taken away by Leshley. Kicked ahead, deflected over to Daniela Levy. Levy turns around, passes it ahead to Gianna Pentland. Pentland dribbles and then tries to pass it along to the other side, but deflected by Gabrielle Lazaro, then passed over to Abigail Tucker, then back to Lazaro. Lazaro tries to go back to Tucker, gets deflected, but goes back to Claire. Claire winds up, fires, saved by Anastopoulos. Some great defense by Brookline there, especially on the attempted centering kick by Claire. Anastopoulos drops it, kicks it over to Mahoney, who then kicks it ahead to Washburn, who then deflects it over to the far side. Kicked back to Mahoney. Mahoney dribbling against Lily Burnham. Passed back to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos boots it high into the air. Deflected by Catherine Smith, but it goes to Brookline. A couple passes, and we've got Sari Frankel bringing the ball across midfield. Passes it over to Pentland. Pentland dribbling around a defender. Boots it. Oh, just barely saved by Ella Carl. What a shot and what a save. This will set up a corner kick for Brookline. Some nice ball movement by Brookline. A nice move by Gianna Pentland and a great shot that very nearly tickled the twine there, but a great diving save by Ella Carl knocks the ball out of bounds instead. Brookline will have the corner kick. Brookline getting set. Instead, they're dribbling with it instead of booting it in. A retreating pass goes back to Leshley. Leshley controls it. Fakes out her defender. Starts to dribble into some space. Passes it along the far side. I believe that's Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan with a centering kick. It's deflected by Torres and deflected again by Smith. Collected by Ansley Washburn. Washburn tries to pass it through. Deflected away by Smith. Being chased near the near sideline. It goes out of bounds. And it's Wellesley ball. I thought for certain that deflected off of Smith, but they're saying it's Wellesley ball. Inbound kick by Renzella. Goes back to D'Oliveira. Kicked across midfield, and we've got a foul call on Brookline, so it'll be a free kick for Wellesley just past midfield. Rory Clare winding up once again. 14 minutes left in regulation. Tap from Torres over to Clare. Clare dribbles, tries a centering kick. Booted away by Leshley, but deflected back in by D'Oliveira. Passed from Lazaro back out to Gaia Jacobs, who sends it over to the far side to Abigail Tucker. Tucker, centering kick over to Catherine Smith. Smith passes over to Gabby Torres. Torres passes to Claire. Claire's got some space, boots it, and high over the net. We got a substitution coming in. This is Samantha Friedman replacing Gianna Pentland. Pentland had one of the best shots of the game so far, and it could have been the dagger to put this game away, but a great shot was met with a greater save by Ella Carl. Anastopoulos with the goal kick. It's deflected down by Lazaro, collected by Wellesley, kicked ahead looking for Burnham, but kicked out by Caroline Wolf. Now Samantha Friedman chasing it down, fakes out Renzella, dribbles through some space, passes ahead for Levy. Levy collects it, centering pass attempted for Frankel, but kicked out of bounds by Gaia Jacobs. Brookline will have the inbounds kick. Pujols-Braceno taps it over to Friedman. Friedman winds up, centering kick, goes over the head of Levy, collected by a defender, and ultimately booted out of the box. Caroline Wolf takes it, boots it back towards the box, deflected again, but winds up at the foot of Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan tries to send a pass along the field, but it's deflected away by Renzella. Goes to Fontana. Brooke Fontana sends a pass along the near side looking for Burnham. Kicked out of bounds by Wolf. So a quick counterattack by Wellesley. But of course, that's good urgency to show when you're trailing. As the score, once again, Brookline High 2, Wellesley High 1. with just over 12 minutes left in regulation. Pass goes into Rory Clare. She tries to boot it towards the center. Almost collected by Burnham. Attempted tap pass by Burnham. Deflected as she was surrounded by several Brookline players. It's cleared out. Wellesley tried to boot it back in. Now Brookline tries to boot it back out. Almost collected again by Wellesley. Instead, it's collected by Daniela Levy. She tries to pass it ahead for Washburn. Kicked through a defender, but then goes right to a Wellesley player. Kicked across midfield. Collected by Lily Burnham. She's trying to dribble through. Brooke Fontana now has a breakaway shot. Goes high! That might have been deflected off the hand of Anastopoulos. Wellesley pleading its case for a corner kick. Interesting move that they made on that play. It looked like it was Lily Burnham that the pass was going for. It either skipped past her or she tapped it ahead. And then Brooke Fontana all of a sudden was all alone, nobody to beat but the goalie, and the shot just sailed a little high. So it'll be a goal kick for Anastopoulos after they decide Anastopoulos didn't touch it. Kick goes near midfield, deflected by one player, collected by Levy, and she gets tripped up from behind. So that's going to be a foul call on Catherine Smith. Brookline will get the free kick from their own end, but near midfield. Hope Leshley winding up for the kick. Leshley charges it and steps back, trying to decide which direction to go. Instead, Caroline Wolf comes in, taps it back to Leshley, and Leshley boots it into the air towards the box, being chased by Friedman. Oh, it skipped away from Carl for a second, but then Carl recovered and collected it. Carl boots it into the air, deflected down by Brookline, then kicked back by Renzella, then kicked back towards the center. A deflection, it goes to Wellesley. They try and pass it over to Torres along the near side, and they let it roll out of bounds. Tess Miller with the attempted pass there, but just went a little too far and went out of bounds. Pujols Braceno waiting to kick it in. She kicks it into Friedman. Friedman kicks it into space, but nobody there except Raiders. Collected by De Oliveira. De Oliveira passes ahead looking for Claire. Claire manages to collect it. Dribbling against Hope Leshley, trying to gain the edge, and things got a little too physical. That might be a foul against Leshley. If so, that puts Wellesley in a pretty good position for a free kick. 9.5 minutes left in regulation. Brookline 2, Wellesley 1. And Wellesley lining up for a free kick. Or is it an out-of-bounds kick? No, it was a free kick. They just had the ball on the out-of-bounds line for a second. They were a little confused. Tapped over to Claire. Claire dribbling, trying to gain the edge. And I think she tapped it off a defender's foot and set up the corner kick. She did. Rory Clare making a deceptively smart move to just feign tapping it ahead, but tap it off a defender's foot and out of bounds. So it's Brooke Fontana and Rory Clare once again. Fontana's probably going to tap it to Clare, who then might send a centering kick. She's got a powerful foot. Here comes the whistle. It's tapped over to Claire. Claire boots it towards the center. A bit of a scrum for it, and it's booted out by Brookline. That was Hope Leshley who cleared it out of the box. After a bounce, it's ultimately kicked out of bounds by Gabby Torres. So that'll be Brookline ball. 8:15 left to go. As Mia Pujols Braceno will be kicking the inbound for Brookline with Samantha Friedman right next to her. We have a substitution. Coming out is Ansley Washburn, and coming back in is Gianna Pentland. Pujols Braceno taps it to Friedman, who boots it in the air, skips across midfield. And Sari Frankel and Kaylee Renzella were battling for the ball, and they call the foul on Renzella. So Brookline will get the free kick on the Wellesley end, just past midfield. Friedman kicks it over to Pentland. Pentland back to Friedman. Friedman now kicks it towards the center, skips away from one defender, but easily collected by Smith. Booted back to De Oliveira, kicked ahead for Rory Clare, passed back to Torres. Torres, a centering pass over to Smith. Smith passing it over to the far end for Gaia Jacobs. Jacobs dribbles and then boots it across midfield. It's now a race for the ball, and it looks like Lindsay Mahoney's going to win this race and kick it off a defender and out of bounds. Kick it off an attacker rather and out of bounds. So it's going to be a goal kick for Anastopoulos. I believe that was Abigail Tucker in hot pursuit of the ball as we got a substitution for Wellesley. McKay Pratt coming in, replacing Kaylee Renzella. So the goal kick for Anastopoulos, booted into the air looking for Friedman. Friedman waiting to boot it. She boots it into the air. Deflected off the foot of Jacobs, off the knee of Jacobs, I should say, and it goes out of bounds. Wellesley with that last substitution showing a more aggressive roster as they take out Renzella, who's more of a defensive midi or even just a straight-up defender, for McKay Pratt, who works on the offense. Pujols-Braceno taps it into Friedman, passed ahead to Frankel. Frankel with the centering kick into the air, deflected by a Wellesley defender, deflected by another, collected by Pentland. Pentland trying to dribble through a defender, gets through a couple, some physical play, and it's ultimately collected by Friedman. Friedman retreats, tries to reset, an attempted centering pass looking for Melanie Chernin, but taken away by Rory Clare and booted across midfield. And now we've got a whistle. This one's going to be against Brookline. Brookline fans really wanted a whistle when Gianna Pentland got taken down in the box. They didn't get it, though. It's tough when you got multiple players fighting for the ball in the box like that to get a call. But for now, Rory Clare setting up for another free kick. Lily de Oliveira kicks it over to Clare. Clare now dribbling. She gets past Frankel, and I think we got another foul call. We've seen plenty of these today. 5 minutes, just over 5 minutes left in the period. De Oliveira kicks it over to Gaia Jacobs. Jacobs tries to send a pass in. It's intercepted by Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan clears it past midfield. It's being chased down by Ella Carl, who collects it and then boots it to Clare. Wellesley showing all offense right now as they get across midfield. Clare boots it into the air. Deflected down by Pujols-Braceno, but collected by Pratt. Tried to kick it ahead for Fontana, but booted out of there by Caroline Wolf, I believe. Collected by Gabby Torres. Torres passes over to Smith. Then the through pass, intercepted by Melanie Chernin. Chernin trying to dribble through traffic and kicks it. It looked like it went out of bounds off Chernin, but they're going to say it went out of bounds off of Wellesley. And so Brookline gets the inbound kick just past midfield, or like right around midfield. Pujols-Braceno kicks it to Friedman, who kicks it over to Chernin. Chernin kicks it over to Leshley. Leshley sends it down the far side, looking for Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan chasing it down. She's got it, dribbling against Abigail Tucker. Trying to get through her, but it's taken away by Tucker. Passed ahead looking for Clare. Clare collects it. Trying to get past Hope Leshley, but she can do it. She does manage to get it. Kicks it across midfield, looking for Brooke Fontana, but booted away by Lindsay Mahoney. Booted back down by Gabby Torres. Booted ahead, looking for Smith, I believe, but taken away by Chernin. Chernin tried to get it away, but now it's Fontana. Fontana sends a kick to nobody. Fontana had some space to work there, but tried to go for a centering kick. Nice idea, wrong timing. 3:20 left in regulation. Brookline clinging to the 2-1 lead. Anastopoulos with the goal kick. Deflected down by Fagnan, and they're going to call a foul on Wellesley for getting a little too physical. Just under 3 minutes left. Brookline counting down the minutes till potentially their second win of the year and their first time over 500 this season. Free kick bounces over to Pentland, collected by Chernin. Chernin now dribbling, passes it back, booted away by Caroline Wolf, and it goes out of bounds around midfield. Wellesley trying to rush things along, get to the inbounds kick. It's kicked into Rory Clare. Clare dribbling with it. Still dribbling. Pass intercepted by Chernin. It gets deflected to Frankel. Frankel boots it across midfield. It's being chased after by Friedman. She had to go around the ref for a second, but she gets to it. Friedman fakes out her defender, shoots, and it's a slow roller that goes to Carl. Carl immediately rolls it in to Claire. Claire being chased by Frankel, and she tries to pass, and they call a foul on Brookline. We're in stoppage time now in the fourth and final quarter of play. So only the refs know how much time the Raiders have left to try and get back in this game. But they are aggressively dribbling across midfield now. Claire boots it, and it goes off the foot of Pratt towards Fontana. It's close, it's towards the net, it's rolling, and it gets booted away by Lindsay Mahoney. What a close shave there, as the boot by Rory Clare deflects away from a couple players, and on the attempted corner kick, it gets immediately booted out of bounds by Zoe Fagnan, so they'll have an inbounds kick. Wellesley still trying to hurry here. Rory Clare, they're trying to get set on the play. Tucker boots, taps it to Clare. Clare kicks it towards the center, caught by Anastopoulos. Depending on how they wind this clock, that might just do it. A couple of big stops there as Anastopoulos drops it and boots it towards midfield. It skips across, stopped by De Oliveira. De Oliveira boots it back in, looking for Fontana, collected by Fontana. Fontana tries to boot it towards the net, but it bounces right into the arms of Anastopoulos. They might have had their best chance there with the insert kick by Claire that was being chased by Pratt and Fontana, but too many collisions with too many players. Couldn't quite get it to work, and then the corner kick didn't work as Brookline now clearing it deep into the Wellesley end. De Oliveira tries to turn around and kick it over to Jacobs. Jacobs trying to boot it. It deflects off a couple players and is now being chased down by Lindsay Mahoney, who sends the retreating pass back to Anastopoulos. Brookline just trying to kill clock at this point. Anastopoulos boots it into the air, collected by Friedman. And there's your final whistle. Your final score, the Brookline High Warriors 2, the Wellesley High Raiders 1. Brookline improves their record to 2-1-1 on the season, improving above 500 for the first time. The scoring summary in the first period, Daniela Levy got the first goal of the game off a centering pass from Samantha Friedman that deflected off of a defender, and the deflection from the defender ironically put the goalie out of position as the goalie was diving forward as well. Heads up kick in by Levy, 1-0. Then in the second quarter, Wellesley got set up with a free kick just outside of the box. Gabby Torres tapped it to satisfy the indirect kick rule, and then it was Rory Clare who booted the nice high floater over the outstretched hand of Juliana Anastopoulos and into the net for the equalizer. Two teams went into halftime tied at 1. And then in the third quarter, once again, Friedman got the play started. Some speedy dribbling down the far sideline gave her the edge to make a nice centering kick. At first was deflected by Daniela Levy looking for Maddie Moore. Moore lost it for a second. There were a bunch of deflections after that, but ultimately it wound up at the foot of Sari Frankel, who put away the go-ahead and ultimately game-winning score. Wellesley mounted an aggressive attack at the end and had an interesting chance when Rory Clare sent an insert pass that skipped near McKay Pratt and near Brooke Fontana as some collisions fighting for the ball left the net without a goalie for a brief second there, and the ball slowly rolling there, but Lindsay Mahoney got there before any of the attackers could and safely kicked it out of bounds to set up a corner kick, and then the corner kick by Rory Clare floated into the hands of Anastopoulos, bringing an end to the last best chance that Wellesley had to tie the game. So, for the last time from Wellesley Middle High School in Wellesley, Massachusetts, I'm Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, your final score, Brookline 2, Wellesley 1. Thank you all for listening today. If you like my broadcast, you like what I'm doing, you want to support me financially, you can head over to my Patreon at patreon.com/JGMS88. and make a donation there. You can either make a monthly pledge or a one-time donation by making the monthly pledge and then canceling it after your first payment is processed. Either way, I'm not going to stop doing these broadcasts. I love what I'm doing here, and I want to keep doing it. But any and all support, however, whatever form that takes, whether it be verbal, financial, I appreciate it all. For the last time, Brookline 2, Wellesley 1, and from Wellesley, Massachusetts, I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, signing off.